Hey, happy Tuesday, beautiful people. Emma, Tom was good. Sis, Hannah, Shalom. Lindsay, y'all, good morning, brother. Jamia, hey, girl, hey. I already said hey to Auntie, Elijah, and Shebrew when they was the first ones to come in. Clearly, right? They was the first to comment. Auntie was waiting for me when I hit the live button. But anyway, beautiful people. Happy Tuesday, Mom. Shalom, shalom. And everybody else already here hanging out in the background. Top of the day to you, y'all. It is February the 14th, 2023. Day 333 of year 4 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. And of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,352, when we pick it back up in the Romance of the Red Star, which is another name for a Waspy, in chapter 2 of the Lord's first book. And the Waspy is called Lord's Record for the Cycle of Sephantes. So this is, okay, so if you're not familiar, this is this? No, I want to say this is the earthly account, but it's not split with the book of Sephantes. Matter of fact, in here, it doesn't do the split thing. So this is the earthly account. Let me double check over here in Big Blue. It's not split over here either. But with the second book, Synopsis of 16th, the Lord's first book. Hold on, I said that wrong. First book, okay, I said that wrong. It's first book of the first Lords in Big Blue. The Lord's first book is actually split with the book of Af. Okay. All right, we ain't got to the split yet, but when you read the lowest edition or the one in the Big Blue book, the heavenly account is on top and the earthly account is on the bottom. So when you get there, you don't know what to do. You read the top portion first, the heavenly portion first, but you go all the way to the end of the chapter. Forget about the bottom half. Read the top, page 1, page 2. If it's 20 pages at the top, read the top of those 20 pages. And when you're done there, you come all the way back and read the earthly account. It's what's happening simultaneously with the heavenly account. That's why this book is split like that. But Romance of the Red Star doesn't do that. There is no split in here. But we know, so when we read it, we'll be able to tell, okay, this is the earthly account of what has been happening. So we're going to pick up in chapter 2 on page 41 of here in Romance of the Red Star, but in Big Blue is actually on page 39, chapter 2, where it begins at. And then when we get down here, we're going to read the rest of the last chapter in the Field Guide to the Spirit World, how to release the ghosts or friend the ghosts. And we'll be done when our time run out today. Audrey, Shalom, BC. What's up? Lavon, blessings, blessings. All right, y'all. Father, we thank you that you are the epitome of love. All right, y'all. So let's get rocking and rolling. Nene, shalom, says shalom, shalom in Facebook land. All right. Page 41, if you want Romance of the Red Star. 39, chapter 2, if you got Big Blue. All right. The time of habitation of Asu was 8,000 years, and they survived 2,000 years after the time of the birth of Ehines, and then disappeared off the earth. And there remained on the earth the sacred people, the Ehines, and the carnivorous people, the Drooks. The Ehines were white and yellow, but the Drooks were brown and black. The Ehines were small and slender, but the Drooks were tall and stout. Now because the Drooks had not previously obeyed the Lord, but went and dwelt with the Asuans, there was a half-breed race born on the earth called Yak, signifying ground people, and they burrowed in the ground. And the Yaks did not walk wholly upright, but also went on all fours. The Lord said, because the Yaks cannot be taught the crime of incest, behold, they shall not dwell forever on the earth. So also shall it be with the Drooks, save wherein they cohabit with the Ehines, whose seed is born unto everlasting life. So the crime of incest is clearly the act of incest. Matter of fact, the last chapter, after Okay, at the beginning of the book, not verse 2, but in like the first verse, it says, well, it doesn't have verses in here, but it's like the third tiny paragraph. It says, and they came to earth, and man was like the beast, not having immortality. They were naked, talking about Asu, right? The humans that were here before they were sexually intimate with the sons of God, right? The angels, right? Hold on, let me start from the beginning. Jehovah, creator of all the living, spoke to Sathantes and his hosts who were traveling in the region through which the earth passed, saying, that these, my sons and daughters, may understand the manner of creation of man on a new world, go ye to earth. And they came to earth, and man was like the beast, not having immortality. They were naked and knew not even the sin of incest. They were called Asu. So they were just, you know what, I don't even know, because I don't study animals that much. I don't know if animals are just have sex with one another, not paying attention that they might be of the same litter, brother and sister, whatever. I don't know. Maybe people that breed dogs know. I don't know if animals just naturally just mate with one another, or if they have it inherently in them to where, that's my sister. I don't know. Somebody that knows, let me know. Brian Job, shalom. Okay, so before the mingling of heaven and earth with the human species, they do mate with one another, not paying attention whether it's my brother or sister. Most sense through smell when female is pride. Just me, shalom, Mahaya, grand rising. Okay, make it clear. Ima said they do. Just me said most sense through smell when the female is prime. Yes, with one another. Dogs and cats do know. Dogs and cats, do know they. Y'all don't make this clear what y'all say. They do. Look, so they do mate like brother and sister with one another. Yes. Or somebody just say animals commit incest or something like that. I want to make sure I'm clear with. They don't care. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. They do. That's gross. Okay. All right. I'll be a little bit slow sometime, y'all. Okay. All right. Let's go back. What I pause? Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth little tiny paragraph. The small when the female is ovulating. They smell when the female is ovulating. Okay. I don't know. That's weird. I mean, not that it's weird. Creator creates all things as a whatever. I don't know. Because I guess they ain't going to be like, it would make sense that we shouldn't be doing that, right? When they are in heat. Okay. All right. The Lord said, let me go back up one. The third little tiny paragraph. Now because the Droogs had not previously obeyed the Lord, but went and dwelt with the Asuans, there was a half-breed race born on the earth called Yak, signifying ground people, and they burrowed in the ground. And the Yaks did not walk wholly upright, but also went on all fours. The Lord said, because the Yaks cannot be taught the crime of incest, behold, they shall not dwell forever on the earth. So also shall it be with the Droogs, save wherein they cohabit with the Ehenes, whose seed is born unto everlasting life. But with the Droogs and their heirs that spring from the Yaks, there shall be an end, both in this world and the next. And the arms of the Yaks were long, and their backs were stooped and curved. And the Lord said, because they are of the fruit of incest, and not capable of speech, nor of eternal life in heaven, the Ehenes shall make servants of them. and that they may not tempt my chosen to bring forth unto destruction, they shall be neutralized. Now, this wasn't the Creator saying this. The ones that was in charge, like, we ain't having this here. Make sure they don't mingle with none of my people. Make them servants, matter of fact. Okay. Some kind of mutation. Well, yeah, I would think so, right? That's why I wasn't sure. I think about what happens when it happens with humans. So I was curious about that, Dawn. Thank you for that. I just didn't ask the question. All right. She said, usually there's behavior issues with the babies that come from the brother or sister litters. Some kind of mutation. Okay. Zachary Yahoo. Shalom. Shalom. Okay. Thank you for that. Hold on. And the angels of the Lord taught the Ehims to make eunuchs of the yaks, both males and females, and the Ehims took them for servants. And the Lord said, the yaks shall serve the Ehims and build and reap for them. The Ehims were disposed to live alone, but the Lord called them together, saying, come and dwell together in cities, for it is better that ye dwell after the manner of my kingdom in heaven. Build ye therefore a temple for the Lord, and my angels shall dwell with you, teaching you to sing and dance for the glory of your Creator. And man built a temple for the Lord and established worship on earth after the manner of heaven. Now it came to pass that the Drooks came to witness the rites and the ceremonies of the Ehims, but they took no part therein, neither comprehended they the meaning thereof. And the Lord said unto the Ehims, that ye may teach some of them of the Lord, build ye within the house of worship an image of me in likeness of man, and I will manifest unto as many as are capable of everlasting life. Okay, so boom. This is the first time I ever thought about this while reading this again. You ever notice that the Ehims didn't have to have idols? Listen, they were the one that were instructed by the heavenly host to create idols for the Drooks so that they could understand spiritual things. But the Ehims, from the very beginning, they were able to communicate spiritually. That's a whole revelation in itself for those that are waking up. We don't need idols, like, directly. Listen. And the Lord said unto the Ehims, that ye may teach some of them of the Lord, build ye within the house of worship an image of me and likeness of man, and I will manifest unto as many as are capable of everlasting life. And the Ehims, men and women, built images of the Lord in stone and clay and wood, and stood them by the altars of sacrifice. And in the time of worship, the angels came and possessed the idols, and with audible voices spake before the mortals. And the Drooks inquired of the Ehims as to the cause thereof. And the Ehims said, behold, there is a Lord in heaven, more subtle than the air of heaven. He it was that brought us forth out of darkness. He speaketh in the idol, that ye may know he abideth with his people. The Drooks said, what saith he? The Ehims answered, The Ehims answered, that whomsoever hath attained to remember the Lord is in the way of everlasting life. The Drooks inquired, how shall a man live forever? Behold, ye that believe also die. The Ehims answered, saying, as the voice of the Lord is unseen but potent, so is there a spirit in man unseen and potent, which shall never die, but ascend in heaven to habitations prepared by the Lord. And many of the Drooks pondered on these things, and their thoughts quickened their souls within them, so that they brought forth heirs unto eternal salvation. And the Lord said unto the Ehims, because ye have done a good thing, go ye abroad by the roadside and in other places, and build images unto me and mine, and my angels shall bestow gifts and signs and miracles. And the Ehims covered the roadways of the earth over with idols of stone and wood and clay, and the angels of heaven descended to the idols, established And the Ehims covered the roadways of the earth over with idols of stone and wood and clay. And the angels of heaven descended to the idols and established thereabout heavenly kingdoms. And when man came hither and called on the name of the Lord, it was as a password for the angels, and they wrought miracles and otherwise gave evidence unto man of the unseen. That is amazing. I never caught that the first time, but this just further clarifies it. This is what that was. Right? The idols were never intended for man, only for those who were not capable of eternal life. Just me said, sound like this is where the worship of the Lord entered into the world instead of creator, right? But look, well, yeah, right. What you just said, I'm making sure it's sticking to what you just said, where the worship of the Lord, right? The worship of the Lord entered in, and it should have been being directed back to creator, which in the beginning stages it actually was. But as time progressed and generations changed, they stopped looking at creator, or I'll say the Lord is in charge, kind of defaulted from creator, having all that praise and adoration lavished upon themselves, right? It started good, right? But it was only for those, it was only meant for those in darkness who couldn't see, to teach them of a higher light, to bring them up to par, so to speak, right? But this is amazing to me. The actual descendants of the spirit and the earthly people, they were taught directly by the angels, which makes me super excited. Which makes me super excited because of how I learned spiritually a lot of times, and how even from the time that my youngest remembrance, I've always been able to hear spiritual entities, right? You know, some of it's shenanigans, right? As I learned to decipher the voices, but we are all capable. If you have flesh and you have a spirit, you are capable of being taught directly by the spiritual realm. We're the offspring. They're required to teach us, right? But they teach us directly. And children coming out of womb, they're kind of, I ain't gonna say dumb, but they're a novice here, and those of us who are being taught directly, who are of age, are to directly teach them and put them in the way and develop them as early as possible to be able to hear and to navigate the spiritual realm, right? And I guess you can say a representation of Asu. Asu is extinct off the earth because everybody alive here, for the most part, I say for the most part, have a spirit and a body, right? But I ain't even going to explain the most part. There's some shenanigans going on here in the earth, but we ain't even going to get into all of that. But y'all get the gist of what I'm saying, right? Rita, shalom. All right. Chapter 3, page 42. And the Lord gave these commandments unto man. Thou shalt strive to remember the Lord. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt build walls around about thy cities, that beasts and serpents may not enter and do thee harm. And if thy habitation be in the wilderness, thou shalt build mounds of wood and earth to sleep on at night, that serpents and beasts may not molest thee. The Ehims inquired of the Lord, saying, if we build walls around our cities, how shall we get in and out? How shall we gather our harvest of fruit and nuts and seeds of the field? How shall we ascend on the mounds which we build in the wilderness? The Lord said, behold, my angels shall teach you to build ladders and how to use them. And when you go into the city at night, you shall take the ladders in after you. And when you come out in the morning, ye shall let them down again. And the angels taught man these things, and man provided the cities and mounds with ladders. And the Ehims prospered and spread abroad over all the earth, and they built hundreds of thousands of cities and mounds, and they rejoiced in the glory of all created things. Neither killed they any man, beast, fish, bird, nor creeping thing that breathed the breath of life. And the Lord saw that man was good and grateful in all things. And the Lord called unto the angels of heaven, saying, Why are the Elohim good? For as yet they are ignorant. And the angels answered, Because thou said unto us, Go ye as guardian angels, and inspire man to live without evil. Even so have we administered unto the Ehims, guarding and inspiring them night and day. The Lord said, Then the Ehims have no honor, except they learn of themselves to be good. I'm going to figure out how to do that without clicking Facebook off. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me finish reading this chapter. The Lord said, The Ehims have no honor, except they learn of themselves to be good. They will be void of wisdom in heaven. For this reason ye shall withdraw a little, that man may attain individuality. And the angels withdrew a while from the Ehims, and now it came to pass that they had stored in their cities and on their mouths ample provision of food and raiment for the winter. But the Drooks followed not the example of the Ehims, for the Drooks stored up nothing. And when the angels departed a little way, Satan came to the Drooks and said unto them, Behold, it is winter, and ye are hungry. Go over the ladders and possess the stores of the Ehims. And the Drooks plundered the Ehims, and Satan came to the Ehims also, and many of them were inspired to defend their stores, and war ensued, and it spread around about the whole earth. And the Ehims bought the Lord and the Ehims besought the Lord as to why Jehovah suffered evil to come upon his chosen. And the Lord said, Because ye depended upon me for all things, ye developed not yourselves. Henceforth shall man learn to face evil on his own account. Otherwise, he could not attain wisdom. Kind of like, let me have like this in here. Hold on. And the Lord said, Because ye depended upon me for all things, ye developed not yourselves. Henceforth shall man learn to face evil on his own account. Otherwise, he could not attain wisdom. That's just like if you trying to learn wisdom in other things as well. A lot of times you fail. Even like from the business standpoint, you will say you start a business, but it's not doing as well as you think it should, or as other people are doing. You can't quite figure out why your business is not working. They got the same type of business and they seem to be doing great. Well, that shows a little bit of ignorance on your part. You still have like a learning curve to go through. So if you focus and don't give up, just keep going. No matter how many times you fail, if you fail a little bit faster, you will learn a lot faster. But some people, they never even try to do anything because they fear failure. Failure is a great teacher, right? Because it teaches you what not to do. And every time you go back, you've actually accounted for another variable on why this is not working. It's only so many times you can fail before you can get it right, right? And all of those people that are succeeding wildly, ask them how many times they failed before they got to this point. It would seem like they would be overnight successes, but they're not. They had to go through that failure learning curve as well. So if you have a great idea, you want to start a business, whatever it is you're trying to do, right? Just don't give up. Keep on going. I know this sounds horrible, but try and fail a little bit faster. When I say fail a little bit faster, just keep doing it, paying attention, just see it all the way through, right? And you'll be able to, each go around, you become a little bit smarter, or at least you should become a little bit smarter, right? Take everything you learn, regroup, go at it again, right? It's like somebody training for the Olympics or any kind of sport. You don't start off great. You just keep going and you lose multiple matches, right? You pay attention to your opponents. You look at what they're doing. You begin to study a little bit more. You adjust yourself based on your failures and what you learned. Have another go at it. Let's go, right? I'm telling you, track your progress over a year's time. Focus for a year, right? And you will see how much ground you've covered, how much better you are in a year's time if you focus and learn to fail a little bit faster. Because if you fail faster, you're going to learn faster. And then once you get it, you got it, and you're good. Failure is the best teacher, right? But some people, that scares them, and they never get started. or they never continue. One failure, it just discourages them. Don't ever be discouraged. All right. And the Lord said, because ye depended upon me for all things, ye develop not yourselves. Henceforth shall man learn to face evil on his own account. Otherwise, he could not attain wisdom. Two entities has the Creator given thee, that which is flesh and that which is spirit. And the flesh shall desire earthly things, but the spirit shall desire heavenly things. Behold, the droogs came upon thee for thy stores. Thy flesh cried out for war, and thy people fell. Let me read that again. Behold, when the droogs came upon thee for thy stores, thy flesh cried out for war, and thy people fell. Again have I come to raise thee up, to make thee understand the spirit within. It is that, and not the flesh, which shall learn to triumph. Right? That's true of what I just said too, right? That no quit attitude is really your spirit developing. Your flesh is going to develop along the way, but it's really your spirit that's learning to triumph. That's good. Listen, read this again. I need a different highlighter. I think I highlighted this in big blue. I don't know. I ain't going to open it. Hold on. I'm going to start back at two entities. Two entities has the Creator given to thee, that which is flesh and that which is spirit. And the flesh shall desire earthly things, but the spirit shall desire heavenly things. Behold, when the droogs came upon thee for thy stores, thy flesh cried out for war, and thy people fell. Again, I have come to raise thee up, to make thee understand the spirit within. It is that, and not the flesh, which shall learn to triumph. Or it is the spirit, not the flesh, that shall learn to triumph. The Elohim said, our people are scattered and gone. Will they not mingle with the droogs and thus go out in darkness? The Lord said, behold, there were droogs who had learned a little from the images. Now because thy people are scattered and gone, they shall go amongst the droogs and teach them, and they shall begin to hide their nakedness. So the Lord inspired other people beside the Elohims to make and wear clothes, and they thus wore them. And again the Lord brought the Elohims together in lodges and cities, and said unto them, henceforth shall ye live upon the earth as an example of righteousness, right? As an example of righteousness amongst all the nations, amongst all the people. Henceforth ye shall live upon the earth as an example of righteousness, and your brethren who have mingled with the tribes of darkness shall no longer molest you, but be your defenders and protectors. And there began to be a new tribe on the earth, and they were called Ehuans, because they were half-breeds betwixt the droogs and the Ehims. The Ehuans were red like copper, and they were taller and stronger than any other people in all the world. And the Lord commanded the Ehuans, saying, protect ye the Ehims, the little people, white and yellow. Call them the sacred people, for ye are flesh of their flesh. And that's where we're going to pause at today, beautiful people. And it's only one more chapter left, but we'll read that tomorrow. Okay, Shogun. What's going on? Every time I see you, I think about the Last Dragon, the Shogun of Harlem. I love me some Last Dragon. Our girl, shalom, shalom. All right, y'all. Go to page 259 in the Field Guide to the Spirit World. All right, so yesterday we paused after this, it was a couple, right? Yeah, this couple, Alton Coleman and his girlfriend, Deborah Brown, were participants in a 6-state crime spree. Okay, so we learned a little bit about them, and when we paused, right before we paused yesterday. But yesterday we talked about things that should be in place before a formal clearing is begun, right? People need to be party to their deliverance. They need to understand, they have to want to be delivered. They have to exhibit wanting to be free, right? So there was just a little bit about that. and things that the person who's helping them get free should understand. Otherwise, it could completely backfire on you. All right. All right, so page 259, starting at that second paragraph right after the example, well, not the example, the story that it was telling us about the man and his girlfriend going on a killing spree. Okay. In fact, this is what happened in the clearing of Richard Ramirez, LA's Night Stalker, the killer who was touched by the darkness, flat effect, lone wolf, sleep disorder, stalking, staring spells, fantasy life, corporelia, suicidal thoughts, and pointless, though compulsive, killing. Maury, as it happened, was lecturing in California, 1985, when he learned that the still unknown unsub, the Night Stalker, had murdered 14 women. Quote, I decided to stop the killer. After determining that 2 vicious entities were controlling the killer, Maury performed a distant exorcism and cleared the intruding spirits. Within days, Richard Ramirez slipped up and his identity became known, for he broke his own night-praying rule and tried to steal a car in broad daylight. He was immediately captured. Ooh. So I wonder... That's interesting. I'm starting to think about the DC sniper again. Yesterday, what I told y'all about. I wonder if this is what happened, like when I did my little prayer, right? Listen to this. After determining, I guess. Okay, so belay what I just said about delivering people. I mean, I didn't think about it this route. I mean, I guess because I did it. Right? Okay, so say, I guess in this example, like if they killing people, there could be other people that exercise the demon, so to speak, from an undisclosed place, right? To kind of keep them safe, but it allows the entities that are harassing, overshadowing, possessing the certain people, it breaks them free, which allows them to be captured, right? Listen, I just thought about that when she said this. Listen, okay. Quote, I decided to stop the killer, end quote. After determining that 2 vicious entities were controlling the killer, Maury performed a distant exorcism and cleared the intruding spirits. Within days, Richard Ramirez slipped up and his identity became known, for he broke his own night-praying rule and tried to steal a car in broad daylight. He was immediately captured. Maury, quote, I believe that when the intelligent criminal spirits left, the killer no longer had their cunning to guide him. He then fell easy prey to his captors, end quote. 1988, page 141. Release work, in truth, is nothing new. It's probably the oldest form of psychotherapy in the world. No, it is not a step backward to engage these principles, but a step in the right direction and the next inevitable phase of the consciousness revolution. It is the big picture. It is proactive. Oh, and that's the end of the chapter. That's the end of the chapter. Okay. We have 37 minutes, so we actually might finish this today where we can start. I ain't never been so excited to get to a book to read. I mean, I guess I have. Every book, I get super excited. Okay, we're going to keep going. Appendix A, corporelia. The chronic, excessively foul mouth may well be a first clue to negative overshadowing. As Reverend Maury, 1988, page 148, observed, quote, persons who can hear the entities speak will often report how abusive the language is, end quote. Strange howls, blasphemy, and corporelia, which is offensive, filthy language, were once considered a standard sign of demonic possession. For example, from Teresa, the possessed woman exorcised by Father Pierre Palo, came, quote, the unusual stream of abuse, end quote. Christianity, 1961, page 139. The main criteria of possession, according to the Catholic Ritual Romanum, included corporelia. A woman, Mrs. 14Feb2023, Exercise by Dr. Wicklin, 1974, page 40, quote, thought a refined lady of gentle disposition became very wild and unmanageable, swearing constantly. She used extraordinarily vile language, end quote. Neither is it unusual for the manic depressive to show signs of entity possession, corporea leading the way. One bipolar lady, as we've seen, fell to calling her husband, quote, every name you could think of, end quote. Duke and Hodgman, 1992, page 12, or XII. The same holds true for MPD, or multiple personality disorder. Eve, for one, would have spells where she, quote, spoke in a jaunty tone, often using vulgar phrases, end quote. Thick Pen and Cleckley, 1957, page 22. Have a great day, Jessamy. Time to make the donuts. Obsessives, too, may be prone to, quote, offensive words or phrases, end quote. Rappaport, 1989, page 92. The encroaching spirit who, quote, perverts the tongue and distorts the lips, end quote. Osterich, 1935, page 11, who hurls the wounding insult and disgusting four-letter words, has remained remarkably unchanged over the centuries, from earliest records to the present moment. We have had a look at the true stories of which two of America's most popular, quote, possession, end quote, films were based, and both involved crimes exhibiting corporea. Robbie, the Exorcist, shrieking curses and vulgar sexualisms, and Emily Rose, the exorcism of Emily Rose, calling the priest carcass, arsehole, and the like. She spelled arsehole, A-R-S-E-H-O-L-E. According to the guidelines laid out by the priestly rites of exorcism, J.K., a doctor who went murderously insane, exhibited signs of demonic possession, including voices, unusually rapid speech, exaggerated grimacing, and corporea or screaming obscenities. He made a lot of vulgar references, end quote. Abloh, 1994, pages 59, 106, and 16. Vulgarity in the media, especially in Hollywood films, is no exception to the rule. Arguably, the industry itself has been infested with spirits of a low order, the F word spilling off the celluloid with a vengeance. The F word spilling off the celluloid with a vengeance. In Professor Twitchell's words, 1992, page 212, quote, vulgarity is victorious. It broke it up. Yeah, that's victorious. Vulgarity is victorious, end quote. What does that say for the mental and spiritual health of this nation? All right, that was the end of Appendix A. Exposure to death. We read this when we were in a section that was talking about graveyards and hospitals and the spirits that hang about these places, and even people who, the workers, people, doctors, nurses, right? So people in these positions, especially, not just these positions, but I think every place in life, you should be developing your spiritual side, because you run into people everywhere, which means there are spirits everywhere. But especially here, when dealing with the transition of the spirits from this realm to the next, and those who have been lingering around trying to get back into the flesh, they really, really need to be aware, right? So we read this when we read that. I'm gonna read it again because it was so good. Just in case you missed it and you work in the medical field, I think you would this would give you a little bit better understanding of your surroundings, right? Shucks, the whole book, all medical field, everybody just needs to have this. I'm just gonna stand by it, but especially the medical field, psychiatrists, law enforcement, right? Because they're dealing with the flesh, while the psychiatry and hospitals or the hospitals are dealing with both flesh and spirit, but they're treating the flesh. And by treating the flesh, sometimes they dumb down the spirit. You got psychiatry who is trying to teach teach the mental mind frame. Or they deal a lot with the spirit. They really do. Even though they don't call it that, they really do. Yeah, Tabitha. Tabitha said, wait a second. Evil spirits might be responsible for obscene language. Yeah. If you do it enough, spirits that hang around that are just full of, like Eddie Murphy said, filth, flooring filth, they could be nudging you on. Yeah, say that, sis. Say that. Say this too. Blah, 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 blah. And here you go in the flesh. You know, yeah, Sometimes we tend to start that filthy mouth roller coaster on our own. But if you do it enough, I'm sure there are multiple spirits that oblige. And they're going to teach you some new words. I remember growing up, my oldest cousin, well, you know, you kids, and you learn about curse words. And so y'all be with one another. Well, at least me and my cousins did, because we all stayed in the same neighborhood. We would hear curse words. And so when we go outside to play, we all sit around in a circle and we practice saying the curse words and stuff, right? And my oldest cousin, he went to the candy lady. And when he went there, no, it wasn't the candy lady. It was the frozen cup lady. Oh my gosh. He came back with the craziest story. He said and I think about this because one day, I want to say it was a Sunday, maybe, but she knew doggone well not to be answering the door like that, knowing children were coming to get frozen cups, right? But it was teenage boys and stuff. This nasty heifer opened the door. I was with my cousin one day. He said, watch this. I don't know why I went with him. He wanted to prove to me that this woman darn near answers the door naked, right? She answered the door. I kid you not. Xavier stood at the door. He said, stand to the side. I said, okay. I said, Xavier, you stupid. He said, watch. She nasty. So he went to the door. And clearly, they look out the peephole or whatever. And they say, what you want? I want to buy a frozen cup. Okay. But she was mad. Her husband, I don't know if her husband was there that day or what. This lady opens the door in her bra and panties, but she had on stockings that came right up under her breast and her church shoes. I kid you not. Xavier said, when she turned around, I don't know that she saw me. She said, okay, baby, give me your money. And so Xavier handed the money over. And when she turned around to go get the frozen cup, he grabbed me. He said, I'm like, and I backed up. I saw her backside, her bra strap, her panties, her stockings, and her church shoes. I'm like, I was like, who I'm telling? Well, I don't think I ever told my mama. My mama here, this is probably the first time she's hearing this story. Oh my gosh. But one day he told me apparently her husband was home or something. And apparently her husband, anyway, I didn't go with my cousin this day, but he came back. He said, you know, the naked frozen cup lady, right? I said, yeah. He said, I went to go get a frozen cup. And he said, and she was in there arguing with somebody. I want to say it was her husband, but he said, they were saying cuss words I ain't never heard before. I said, what they say? And so he went there. I was like, what does that even mean? You know how black people, I ain't even say just black people, but I'm used to, I ain't gonna say used to growing up and hearing black people, but if you ever hang out in the hood or whatever, you know, people make up all kinds of curse words. They can pull stuff together with words that's not curse words and create this word or whatever, like, dang, everybody be like, ooh, what? It's one of them type of curse words. But anyway, look, Tabitha, I mean, I would say so. I mean, because nobody in their right mind will open a door. I mean, unless they had ulterior motives. Maybe she just didn't care. Maybe she was in a rush to get to church and she wanted to make a little bit of change before she left, right? She was, I don't know. Maybe she was, I don't know. People is weird. Tabitha said, wait a second. Evil spirits might be responsible for obscene language. I would say so. I would say so. Dawn said, I work in the mental health field. It's true. Yeah. You call them the cool cup lady. We call it a frozen cup lady. Donnie, shalom, shalom. Sounds like Crooklyn. Oh, man. Tabitha said, I'm thankful I never had a filthy mouth. I was scared of my parents to practice that cursing. Well, I wish I could say the same. You probably can't tell. You probably can't tell, right? I just look at myself over the years. I'm just like, wow, I can't even believe I used to talk like that. Let me tell you. You probably can't tell. I love me some trap music. Lil' Kim was constantly blasting on my radio, which is probably why I really love Cardi B. Like, seriously. And my mouth was filthy. It really was. Let me tell you, hold on. Okay, let me make sure I explain this. So y'all don't be think, I do be listening to Cardi B sometimes. But let me tell you why, right? I love the art of what you call it, lyricism, if I say it that right. People in the music yeah, Dawn, I know my mama here. Look, I wonder if my sister here. Bronze, he said Cardi B is trash. Okay, we ain't gonna argue about this. Listen, no, let me tell you why. And it's not just them, right? It just amazes. Rap, it's an art, and not just singing as well. Now, the ability to write poetry, the ability to use 26 letters in a language and be able to write multiple songs, multiple pieces of art and poetry, and it never be the same amazes me, right? And then to see you actually be able to put things like that together and just to come up with it a lot of times. Some people, they got to sit and write and reread their stuff, but some people like what's the word? When they sit there and they have that's right on the tip of my tongue. They be like, just give me a beat, and they just flow off the beat, and right off the top of their head, they're able to put words together. The art of lyricism amazes me, right? And growing up a lot, you didn't see women doing it, right? I just thought like it was a gift that men had, right? But then also growing up, developing my mind and things. I remember the first time I saw a man dance, it blew me away because I thought there was something that only women did, right? And then to see a man to be able to dance well and not be playing for the pink team, so to speak, not to sound prejudiced or whatever, but not be like homosexual or anything, but really have rhythm about themselves, it amazes me. And it is something about it, it captivates me. And I really enjoy the art, right? So a lot of times I'm not listening, well, some stuff with all the filth, foreign filth, I really just can't get with anymore. But the way they're able to put it together, that's why I like it. It's always captivated me since I was young, right? And it's a lot of different artists that I listen to. And I don't just listen to black artists. I listen to white people. I listen to Chinese people. I listen to different types of music. I like country music, not all of it, just some of it, right? You got to have like a little bit of soul. And sometimes not even that. It could just be a real honky-tonk classic song. We're going to go and do a line dance. But I love to see the variety of all of this stuff. And I do. And Cardi B is one of those ones that you remember simply because of her voice and her mannerisms. Like, oh, you know, different things like that. It's her personality, right? And I get it. You know, everybody has their choices, but I don't discriminate. I really don't. But I would say music with a lot of bass and stuff, it's ranging at the top of the charts for me, right? But I really love the art of music and those who have musical talent and abilities. It amazes me, just like instruments, you know, it really captivates me. So Lauryn Hill, listen, Bella love her some Lauryn Hill, girl. My 6-year-old, they all listen to different types of music. When we drive in the car, if I'm using my phone to go through different playlists and stuff, they're like, let me pick a song, and they'll put on, and they put on varieties of songs as well, because we expose them to different genres of music and everything. And you know, it's like, I don't want them to just have this one type of thing. You know, we love black artists, but I love some music some white artists do. Some of the worship music, I love worship music. Black people have this thing with their worship music. I ain't gonna say come from the soul, but it seems like they found something down in a shanana, very deep down, that I ain't gonna say nobody else has figured out how to do, but they know how to take that and turn that thing and present something that's, oh my God, it'll just take you right there. But also I found that in worship music that other people, other ethnicities do. Like, I don't mean to sound racist, but I like white worship music too, because it's a different type of feel of worship. Is still pure, and it's like a, I don't know, it's a different, I don't know what to say, different, I don't know, but I love it all. I love it all. She inspired you to lock your hair, okay. But yeah, who don't love Lauryn Hill, right? I mean, I'm sure it might be somebody, right? But I do. I love me some Lauryn Hill too. But with that being said, beautiful people, how did we even get there? I don't even think we started this. We didn't even start Appendix B, exposure to death. Yeah, so we'll pick this back up the right. I think it was with Tabitha, Tabitha's question. Was it Tabitha? Hold on. Was it Tabitha? I think it was what Tabitha said. Auntie, you said right peeking, not my Pam. Oh my gosh. Yeah, hold on, wait. Who was it? Was it Tabitha? Yeah, Keon Cooper. It was Tabitha. And I started telling the story about the naked frozen cup lady. Matter of fact, I might put that in the title today. Yes, we know Elijah. Blessed be the most holy. There is no filth of any kind when it comes to the Creator. That's true, right? But I don't think everybody there. Everybody working. Uncle JB, shalom, shalom. She didn't want to get her dress wrinkled. Jamil, look, what's crazy is when you see traumatizing, I'm going to just call it traumatizing stuff like that when you're young, you don't ever forget it. Like, I'll never forget what the backside of that lady looked like. I remember her face too, because we went to get frozen cups a lot. But one time we talked about it, it take my cousin to say some stuff like this. He said, you think she make the frozen cups while she naked too? I just think about some of this stuff that we talked about when we was kids and how we used to just sit around and practice some of these filthy curse words and stuff, right? I mean, sometimes you grow out of it. Sometimes maybe not. Zachariah said, I had the same thing happen to me. A woman I used to cut the grass for every week, and hold on, wait, what? I had the same thing happen to me. Woman used to cut grass naked every week, and the police come and couldn't handle her. Boy, I bet that was a sight to watch. I would have loved to have seen a police officer's face when they're trying to talk to her, ma'am, please go in the house, cover yourself or something. I would have loved to see their facial expressions, right? Okay. Right. You say Cardi B trash, but Lil Kim, your girl. I'm going to say I grew up on, well, my high school days was full of Lil Kim. Anybody that got in the car with me probably knew all the lyrics to all Lil Kim songs. Lil Kim old school. I mean, I guess you can't compare the two, but if I had to compare the two now, it would be Cardi B all day. Maybe just, I don't know. And plus, she is hilarious to me. I don't know. Maybe her comedic side a little bit. Maybe I'm a little biased towards the comedic side or whatever. And she has the gift of being able to put words together, right? I don't know. Long live Tupac. Tupac is my dude too, right? I love me some Tupac. Hold on. Andre 3000. I don't necessarily disagree with that, Bronze Yogi. He said this new rap music is death music. Yeah, but every generation say that about the current generation after them. I don't know what's wrong with these young people today. Everybody got their own terms for that. And everybody think their music's, well, I can't say that. Well, there are some highlights about my generation. But the previous generation, like my mama generation music, Anita Baker, all that, you will hear that playing 24/7 sometime, right? My children know Anita Baker songs. I love some Anita Baker. We saw that she wasn't coming to Virginia, but she was coming close. I want to say, I got to look it back up. I'm not sure if it passed. I want to say it was like March. I got to look it back up. I forget because we talked about it back in December. We saw it being advertised. It was like, oh, is she coming anywhere in Virginia? We driving. But I think the closest she was coming was like North Carolina. It was like I think it's Charlotte. I gotta look it up again. I was like, we might have to see if we can make that. Yeah. Okay, y'all. Tikva, shalom, shalom. Queen Latifah. Missy Elliott. I like some of their music. Yeah, I like some. Missy is a genius, right? She's a genius. Okay. Motown. Mama loves some Motown. I know, right? I think all our parents love Motown. All right, y'all. Gotta get out of here. We'll finish Appendix B and C. We might be able to finish both of them tomorrow. It just depends if something else don't throw me off and we start talking about something else. All right. True, Donnie. Shalom. Someone from the upper echelon can't go to the hood or barrio and reach the kids. You're right, right? So I love all the different genres and just everything. You need certain type of people in certain places to be able to reach, like it said, people in the hood or in the, did I say it right, the barrio or whatever, so we need some of these people to get to higher levels to be able to help lift up some of the other ones. Now, some of them get to these places and it seems like their music just drive them further down in the dirt, right? Now, although I don't recommend Eminem's music to anybody, right? His music just and I know he talking about, like life experiences and his own personal hurt and pain. And most people do. They put their life and their pain in their music. But there's a different type of spirit that follows Eminem music and a few others. And I found that in every genre of music, there are like lower level spirits that help them put their music together. And it's like it immediately disrupts. It immediately disrupts your spirit. And what's crazy? Look. Now, let me I don't know. Let me say this though. It's something I've noticed about music, specifically about and I ain't saying this because I like Cardi B more or whatever, right? But there are different artists, just like some of the love making music, it's really sexual. Now, there are some Cardi B songs that are a bit, it's a bit much and shucks, I really can't listen to most songs. If I caught my, and that probably says a lot, right? If I caught my kids listening, I would turn it off. I would say that, but I like it. But let me say this, and I hope y'all get what I'm saying. Not that y'all, if y'all don't, just don't, right? Okay, so the way I am, and like what I teach, what I'm for, my whole marriage thing, I find it useful sometimes, like when I'm hanging out with me and my husband hanging out with married couples, right? We can use some of these songs as references to some things or whatever. I find it useful in some settings, not in all settings, right? Some teaching tools are appropriate for certain types of settings and certain audiences, right? So some things like, if you ever do like any kind of marriage retreats, not the overly Christianized, man, yoke. Look, just like Cardi B, I love me some Tina Snow. Everybody like, Tina Snow? Who is Tina Snow? Meg Thee Stallion. Listen, I got my reasons why. I really do. Okay, listen. But think about the Lewis, right? And the more I look into a WASP and I think about some of the things that I really enjoy, where I'm able to pull teaching moments out of. I look at like the masters of generations, right, which are called Lewis and Owaspy, and how they're behind some of the matchmaking with couples, right? They're behind it, and they're trying to produce down the line. They want to produce children or humans who can hear voice of creator, right? I ain't gonna go back and forth with you, Bronze. I mean, you can say that in different settings, yeah, whatever. But for educational purposes only, we'll talk about Tina Snow, Cardi B for educational purposes only for married couples. Look, but I think about the different methods of developing married couples, right? And a part of being married, even though most of the other word engage in it as well, is sexual activities and intercourse and stuff like that, right? And sometimes, I mean, you don't need music. I mean, but you know, if you're trying to set the mood or whatever, music really helps. Now, it's kind of like praise and worship. You got the fast praise and worship, which is like some of the faster sexual songs. And then you got the smooth R&B jazz when you want to just take it slow and enjoy the ride, right? And that's what you call worship music, right? But the same rules apply with the marital relationship and some of the music that you can use to be a part of it, right? But I look at it, a lot of I find a lot of wisdom, not just the music, the sound, but I also listen to the lyrics, right? And a lot of time I research some of the lyrics if they, and I know sometimes some people like that has another message behind it or whatever. And a lot of times it does. All right, son, love you, drive safe. But I listen to the lyrics and I think about what they're saying, whether it's, you got all the different types of music where it's heartbreak, all of these different things, and you can categorize certain type of music and place it in certain periods of your marriage relationship, or just any type. But just for the sake of conversation, we're talking about married couples here, right? But there's a lot of wisdom that can be found in certain types of music, and music can also heal. Now, Cardi B, I wouldn't necessarily put it there. That's more like the fun praise and worship mode type, when, you know, you just let's just go, right? But I look at some of the songs. I really like the songs where I'll just say, because there's a trend. I noticed the more I think about it, there's a trend with the certain types of music. It may seem ratchet, but there's a certain trend with the sexual music that I enjoy, because it teaches you something. You know, if you would pay attention to like the words and some of the stories that they tell. You know, I like to take the principles or the lessons that I learned from that, and I apply them to certain situations in my marriage or whatever. You know, I'll just test things out. But that's why I look at and I like some of that stuff. The beat is really catchy too. Sometime, but sometimes the beat can be really catchy, and it does that thing that it's a, what you call it? It causes you, you know how sometimes you jamming out to a beat, it's catchy, and you're not paying attention to the words and it draws you in. You got to be careful because some of that does that too. Sometimes some of the music will pull me in till I actually really start paying attention to the lyrics. And even though I'm like, yo, that's my joke, right? Then when I actually pay attention, listen, I was like, oh man, it's a catchy beat, but we got to get rid of that, right? Because when anything that goes against destroying a marriage union, things like that, I don't tend to listen to, right? I got enough troubles trying to keep my own stuff together, but adding music to it that actually harps on those type of things, destroying the marriage, music full of adultery and stuff, we try not to listen to that. There are sometimes, I mean, you just got to be careful because music is powerful, and they do have. Let me see. I'm trying to list off some of Cardi B songs. Okay, y'all probably don't know, but she got some. She got some, and though it's I don't listen to all of her music, but there are some that I find I'm like, oh, okay, those are good principles, and you know, it may be a little X-rated for younger, non-mature audience, but some of it is good, and I find it useful. I use it in teaching relationships. That's what I like it for, right? I like it myself, you know, but I'll use some of it as teaching tools and stuff. Tickle. Drop that beat /meat. Yeah, that's what some of that fast music for. Donnie, to me, it's the spirit in which the song is written that makes it justified or condemned. I don't disagree with that, right? I don't disagree with that. I really don't. I don't disagree with that. Okay. Hold on. Donnie said, I can't sing an Elton John love song. Hold on. I can't sing an Elton John love song to my wife. I can't sing. What, Donnie? I think I know what you're saying. To my wife. You saying it's an Elton John love song that you love, you sing to your wife, but you're heterosexual. Right. I think that's what you were saying, right? Because Sean Elton is homosexual, right? Yeah. I think. Right? I think so. Yeah. But sometimes they make some good music, but I'm kind of careful. I'm kind of careful. As much as I can be, right? If I find out some shenanigans behind, well, shucks. Everybody got something going on with them, right? You just got to be careful. But you can tell certain types of music. Like, example, this is what I was going to say earlier. There are certain types of music, and I don't listen to like a lot of trap music all the time. I really don't. But there are certain types of music that you would think is like not bad, and it's not like a lot of cursing in it, right? Like this was, because I think I shared this with y'all. What's crazy was, okay, because I was listening to the Baby. I think all of the Baby songs, you got Lil Baby and Da Baby, right? Da Baby. I don't think there's ever a song that he has made that he not talking about sex, right? It's like all through his songs, right? His beats are catchy, but the music, the people that I like, I'll actually begin to look into their lives, right? And I think what makes me like them more is the way that they handle business, how they sometimes they take they produce their own stuff, and they kind of like handle their own stuff. So he's really business savvy, although it would seem he's not smart in a lot of areas, right? But there's a certain business savvy he has about him, and you can see it through his movie and how he creates his videos with his music and stuff. And I was like, this is really interesting. I like this dude, right? What I thought was weird, here's what I thought was weird, because I still can't figure it out, right? I like T.I. too, but some of T.I.'s music, I kid you not, it's like I clearly heard, I'll never forget this day, I clearly heard, do not listen to that music. I'm like, what? Which one? Because I had a playlist, The Baby and T.I. I'm like, wait, which one? The Baby or T.I.? Right? But I realized it was T.I. But you would look at T.I. And T.I.'s music is clean for the most part. He don't do all that cursing and stuff like The Baby do. But I think there's something deeper behind it. The Baby's music, he's kind of, he's like, and no disrespect, but although he's business savvy, his music is really, I would say immature, right? If that's the right word. It's immature. It's always talking about sex. It's like a teenager going through their hormonal phase where their hormones are all over the place. That's like The Baby's music. T.I. is it's a lot more refined, right? And real life stuff, but it's really, really crazy. Some of his stuff, and I clearly heard, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm like, boy, I could see why you would say don't, listen to The Baby, but T.I. still can't quite figure it out because I really like his music, right? Like, I don't think you can really compare him to anybody. There are certain people they kind of like, they're in the same genre, but their styles are a little bit different. You can't really compare anybody to him, right? But it's weird, this whole music thing. And even what we learn about here in Owaski, we don't just make music here. Music actually begins in the spiritual realm. So they get their insight, their inspiration from whatever spirits that they are in line with the most, whether it's creator or those who have defected from the creator, right? So you got to really be careful about it. Same thing with Tina Snow, right? I keep saying Tina Snow. I don't want to trigger nobody. Even though some of her music is just as ratchet as Cardi B, she is a brilliant businesswoman. Like, do y'all just like listen to their music? I actually look into their lives. Shayla, hey girl, hey. I actually look into their lives, right? And it blew me away, right? It really blew me away at how smart she was and how many business she run. And she got a couple different lines of different things. And she actually has like a course she teach, I think everybody know now that she's a college graduate, and she just has a lot of business savvy, right? And she knows who her audience is, and she knows how to market to her audience how she does. Same thing with Cardi B and all the other artists. Most of them have figured out who their target audience is, and they know how to get them hype, so to speak, right? And they make money. It's a business. It's a lifestyle, but it's also a business. And some of them are not so smart, but some of them are really savvy. Some that you wouldn't even think, So I think that's why, because I do more than just like listen to their music. I actually look and see like, do you really have, and I know some of them, they get caught up in court cases or whatever. It could be previous things. Like everybody human, they make mistakes, not making excuses for anybody, right? But I'm just saying, I look more and suggest their music if it's a hit, or if I think it's a hit, or if it's trash, right? I actually spend time researching them and their life and what they've done, how they've developed over the years. Is there a change? Or are you still just as retarded as you was when you came out, right? I actually look for growth from all of them, right? So, but yeah, I guess this was just kind of a fun conversation today. Okay, I gotta be somewhere. I got a mandatory meeting, but yeah, T.I. is very sketchy. Mom, you said, Mom, you listen to T.I.? Tip got prison Jews following him. Possibly, yeah, I don't know. I don't doubt it. All right. You might say, I don't even know who she is. You talking about Tina Snow? That's what you talking about, Imam? Tina Snow is Meg the Stallion. Y'all, let me get out of here. All right, y'all. And also, you know what? I'm not in the habit of wishing people happy holidays, but today is Valentine's Day. Some of y'all may be doing stuff, maybe not. But this Valentine's Day, which is sweetie, you should be doing it every day. You know, most days married couples, but we know life happens and you got a life and you got an adult, right? And every day ain't peaches and cream. Even if you may not be able to enjoy the holidays, right? Pick some special days with your spouse and spend some time. Get some of this good love making music. And then you have some good music that you can use without the cursing and stuff. You really can. I mean, it's few and far in between, but it is there. Get you some good old Anita Baker. I saw somebody mention Luther Vandross up in here. Luther, Imam, right? Luther was the man. A lot of babies were conceived doing his music playing, right? Get you some good stuff. But did I finish my thought of what I was saying about the Lewis, the Masters of Generations? I don't think I did. Yeah, I just look at music and I use it as a tool. Different things you can relate to people with music, right? So I mean, I've talked to all different kinds of couples, all different types of nationalities, right? Some of them are married, some of them are no longer married. But I look at, not just me, but me and my husband, we look at couples who have been together for a while and then they divorce. It's like, oh my gosh, y'all were married for like 30 years. What happened? Right? It was like, we just knew it was smooth sailing. It was like, oh man, we just doggone made it to 21. What we got to look out for at year 30, right? It's like you got to struggle to keep it together. You got to keep out all types of influences, directly and indirectly, right? It's enemies all the way around. You know, every time we see somebody get divorced, it's like, oh man, you know, it's like, oh, and they've been together just as long as we have, you know, and everybody has their different paths in life, different experiences, different problems and stuff, you know. But I think we done probably dealt with some of everything in our marriage, with the exception of drugs. One of us being addicted to drugs. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think just about, I can't say everything, but some of like the major things that are deal breakers for most people, right? I ain't gonna say we've kind of encountered, we have, you know, but we've learned how to work through it. Okay, how do we get here? You know, you just gotta be real with yourself, with one another. Sometimes we have needs we don't express to the other party, thinking they supposed to just get it by osmosis and supposed to just know. And a lot of times they don't just know, right? But it's been a long educational road, right? And we still holding on, trying to hold it together, right? And some people, they just don't have it. They just don't have it in them to keep on. Well, one thing we haven't, like physical abuse, like we haven't like dealt with one of us being hooked on drugs or physical abuse. Like we just don't do that. Those are like immediate deal breakers. And I ain't even gonna say like, I don't know. See, I ain't never really been in a situation where I got beat, so I can't really speak on that, right? Because first of all, my protection, my safety, physical and mental safety has to, that can't be, what's the word? That can't be in danger, right? That's a no-go for me. That's a no-go for me, right? But there, most things couples can work through. If you have two willing parties, right? Also two willing parties who have, I ain't even gonna say the ability. Sometimes you think you just don't have it in you. But even if you don't think you have it in you, but you want it to work, you have to be able to just put yourself aside. And when I say put yourself aside, I mean like your ego, not to just put yourself on the back burner to let the other person run over you. That's not what I'm talking about. Put yourself just put yourself to the side and try to look at the situation from your spouse's perspective, right? Really try to embody what it is they're saying to you and how they really feel. Because a lot of times you'll find out that sometimes what they're saying here is not what they're really trying to say to you. The heart and the lips are not lining up, which is why there's constant turmoil, because they're communicating what they really feel here in the wrong way. And the spouse hasn't grown enough to even perceive that what they're saying is not really what they're saying. They're really saying something just a little bit deeper. Do you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear what they're trying to say to you amongst the anger and all of this, right? And a lot of times when you see the anger, those are just symptoms of a deeper problem, right? So you gotta be able to look past all that, well, get out of my face and all of this, and you better talk to me like you got some sense. If you can't even get past that, it's almost like those are like the gatekeepers to the heart. Let's call it that. Those are like the symptoms and ready to fight and all of this stuff. Those are gatekeepers to the heart, right? You got to be able to, first of all, diffuse this situation, de-escalate it, because this is your spouse. You're not at war with them. At least you shouldn't be, right? Be able to look past that. Don't add fuel to that fire, right? Be able to really see what they're saying. Let me see if I can give an example. Okay, so say the husband is working all the time, right? In his mind, I'm taking care of my family. I'm making sure I'm keeping the lights on, all the bills paid, the roof over our head, food in the refrigerator, clothes on the back. Y'all want to do some things sometimes, a little entertainment. Well, I got to work, right? Those things cost money. I got to work, right? Especially if it's only just the husband working, right? But this still happens whether both, or whether the wife working and the husband is work from home, whatever. It happens both ways, right? And it could be either or, husband or wife. But I just use because we kind of went through that, right? Okay, so husband working all the time, and we got our own business. Like, we work together, but I'm the one behind the computer all the time doing the contracts, paperwork, phone calls, and he's most of the time out, well, not most of the time, all the time out in the field with the employees, just different things like that, right? So sometimes the day will go longer. He may work late at the office. We got an office here, do it from the house, whatever. But the wife may say, well, you working all the time. Start arguments because you're working all the time, instead of just saying, babe, I really miss spending time with you, right? And the spouse really wants you to, they know you got to work, right? But when you're working all the time, right? And the husbands, most of the time, they ain't think about that. Like, man, you live a good life, right? Why are you complaining? Don't you like living in the house? Nice things? Then why are you complaining if you want to keep up this lifestyle and I got to work, right? The wives know that, or whatever, but they're just saying you're using every waking moment to work, right? I would rather have you than have you away all the time. There's simple things like that. And you can even see that in relationships with children and the parents, right? The parents are constantly giving them things, but as the children get older, I ain't even gonna say older. I think it matters at all age, really. But a lot of times, children, when they're younger and they're more immature and they see things and toys, it's like, oh, just give me a toy, right? But as they get older, it's not really the things that matter. It's you. They would much rather have you than the things, right? So a lot of times, we still deal with that when we go into the marriage. It's like we these toddlers that want everything, right? And we're still really undisciplined in those areas, to whereas a lot of fights that married couples have, it stems from losing sight of one another. It really does. You become disconnected in life, which is why you should, I ain't gonna say periodically, more than periodically, maybe you should have short periods where you just need to get away from it all. And you just need to go somewhere, whether you kick the kids out, get a babysitter, and you stay home, but you need to find time to reconnect. I would say at least once a week. Like, seriously. Or if you don't do that, you in danger of losing everything, right? And so I realized this trend, this pattern with couples that have been married for longer periods of time, and they divorce. Like, it baffles me. What happens is, you would think that after the kids are grown and out of the house, it's like, yeah, we're going to travel the world. Because that's what me and my husband like. When all you Regans is out the house, boy, we traveling everywhere, right? No, you keep the grandbabies, we'll come visit you at your house, right? You would think that's, now it's just me and you again. It started with me and you. Then we had the children. Now we had to do this, raise them, put good product out in the world. Now that we've done it, we've passed that stage. Now it's time for us to be me and you again. We still have them. We give them advice. We visit, whatever. But it's now time for us to reconnect now on a deeper level. And now y'all should be having a debriefing time over the last few decades of y'all being together, how you've grown, what you've learned, you debrief one another, and you can take these lessons and pass it on to the next generation and your children while they're going through these things, right? So it's really heartbreaking to us when we see couples divorce, when we might have been ready to draw up the papers the day before, right? Because it's hard. Marriage is hard, but it's a constant work. It's a constant checking in, seeing about one another all the time, so it's a marriage is like a perpetual state of growth, or it should be. But some people, they just can't, or they think that they can't hang in there, right? And there's a couple reasons why people drop out the race, right? They may not have good support around them. And a lot of times at least for us, when we went through some of our major changes in our marriage, trying to put the broken pieces back together that maybe we've personally broken ourselves, or allow other people to come in and wreak havoc in our home, there has to be a separation time, and you got to kind of walk through. You got to find all the pieces. You got to find some glue that works, right? Sometimes you think it worked, but then it don't. Sometimes you just got to you have to be willing to fail a little bit faster. Yeah, you got to be willing to fail a little bit faster. But people never get through these failing phases in married life to where they actually get on the good end of it, and even a lot of times you may have tenure, you still don't have quality of the journey. You haven't been able to put the lessons together, right? You're still, and that's got to be it's got to be a hard life. Not being able to look at all the troubles and things we've been through in our marriage and not being able to pull any kind of lesson from that. That has to be hard. And I think that's what happens when people decide to go ahead and cut their losses, or what they deem to be losses, right? They haven't been able, or it could have been maybe just one party unwilling, or one party think, you know what, it's enough. I can't, they just can't see any more value in what they have, right? And sometimes even if there's no value whatsoever, if you just have two willing parties, I'm an advocate for marriage. I really am. Even though sometimes mine is being held, we're holding on to ours by a thread. I'm an advocate for marriage and couples working out their issues, no matter how crazy one of them or both of them may be. At least you understand each other's crazy, right? But when you get out there, you might find something a little bit crazy. Like, oh, shoot, I should have stayed married. Right? Especially when you done put in your time years, and then you decide to jump out there and go back in the sea with plenty of fish. Oh, it's a whole different type of world out there from what you last saw when you were still out there with them fish. The world has changed so much. But yeah, I am. I'm really an advocate for marriage. So I look at anything that I could use as a tool, whether it's music, people's life story, their marriages that didn't work out, marriages that are lasting, what they did. We look to pull insight from everywhere we can to keep ours together, simply because ours was so bad, right? But we want it to work. We didn't want to end up, I'll say, a statistic, right? Because we joke about it sometimes. Like, shoot, my husband like, girl, I got 6 kids by you. Like, who gonna want to deal with that? Me and my 6 kids and you still being there. I'm like, well, you know what you got, don't you? You better straighten up, fly right. You know, like all those different type of things. And you have people who love children. They don't care if you got 14 children. They will love them just like they were their own. And that right there is something amazing, right? And may the Creator bless those people who have hearts, not just, they don't just do things because they want this woman or want this man, but there's a true, genuine love. They love everything about you, even your children, and they treat them just like they were their own. They don't harm them. They love them. They see about them, and they want the best for them, and they help them to be the best and to have the best. That's an amazing gift to have. At least I think so. It's absolutely beautiful, right? So, yeah. So I like that, Iman. Society has made marriage disposable, right? Even in some of the movies in Hollywood, all of these things. And we watch a lot of movies, but there are some that we absolutely just cannot watch. Like because it really does something to my spirit. I can see movies that, like, it's telling you a story, like the family is being ripped up, but they're trying to do their best to save it. Stuff like that. But things that, like, there are some movies that are absolutely just, like, vicious, and they are not marriage friendly. Some of those I just can't get with. Or if I start watching something and I feel like it's got that vibe, like, I'll feel it. And I can't watch it. There are certain things that I absolutely just can't watch because it does something to me, right? But, yeah, we have to be aware. We got to be... To keep our marriages together today, if we can first get over ourselves and not destroy it with our own hands, right? Then, because if we can learn how to work as a united front, learn how to be teammates, partners, shucks, go to some team things where you got to have a partner and whatever you want to call it. Just do things together where you learn about one another, you know, and learn how to, like, really study one another. The quirks, the hand signals, the different things that you do. Like, I can tell when my husband is irritated, because he'll start scratching his head in a certain type of manner with one finger. I've known that about him for as long as I've known him. And he may not say something, but I can tell him, I've picked up on it. He didn't realize that was like something that he developed, but I began to pick up on it real quick. And I know, and it's a couple other things he do, like, and if you spend any time with anybody, you know, certain things they do, it triggers you to, what's wrong? You know, but learn those different things about your spouse and learn how to, when you communicate. When I say communicate, you have to learn how to, like I said, learn how to look past not ignore what their lips are saying, right? But look past what their lips are saying and really try to hear what they're saying from their heart. Because a lot of times, especially early on in marriage, and shucks, even a good deal through the marriage, they still don't know how to sync the lips and the heart together, where you can speak truth, like truth from your inner being, and like really just openly do that. Most people will not do that because that's like the most holy place, and nobody wants those pearls trampled upon. And a lot of times you see that in marriages, husbands and wives really don't trust one another because they don't really share what's really in their heart, for fear that sharing their true feelings will be trampled upon, right? And they don't know how they would respond if the person who's supposed to love them tramples upon that treasure, right? That's like, I feel that. That's why, hold on, y'all. I'm getting all emotional and stuff. Hold up. I'm a true advocate for marriage. I really am. So you have to be able to look past all of their mannerisms. The mannerisms, the different things should be triggers to key you in and help you to identify, like a very skilled surgeon, what's really going on at the depths of your spouse's soul, like in their heart. Because a lot of times they really don't know how to share with you how they really feel, right? Sometimes they just can't find the words, so they haven't learned how to put the words together and learn how to really be vulnerable with you. Most people don't. They haven't really found a safe space with their spouse where they can share some of those things, and that's something that you really cannot lose sight of. If there's along with Aunt Louise's advice, keep everybody out your business, baby. Aunt Louise, that is service word. Keep everybody out your business, because you can learn how to work out your problems, and you're more forgiving a lot of times towards your spouse, where other people are not, especially people who love you hard and they don't want to see any kind of harm come to you. Like, they bowed it, like, sis, what you want us to do? We'll kill them for you if you want us to. So sometimes you can't share certain things because they're biased, and they're biased because they love you. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you have to understand who you're around, and you can't share your problems with everybody, right? Because if they can't help you to restore your marriage, where they're not giving you one-sided information, even if you feel a certain way towards your spouse, you have a good, I'll say, if you go to talk to somebody and you just pouring out your heart, you could even be talking bad about your spouse, which I don't ever recommend that anybody does. Do not ever talk bad about your spouse to anybody. And I know sometimes you just need to vent because they pluck your nerves, and I get that. But I'm talking about, here's something that, okay, let me share this. Ooh, it didn't just burn up me, it burned up my husband. Okay, so one of the business meetings with our state contract that we have, we go up for mandatory meetings on specified days, right? And so there's a change of leadership up in there, and they have this one particular guy that they put in a position of leadership. So we've had this contract for 5 years, and we pretty much know everybody. This guy's kind of new, at least new to us, because he just kind of started attending the meetings, but it's clear that he clearly knows everybody else in the room really well, to where he feels like he can talk about his wife in a way. And I'm just like, and when he first did it, me and my husband just kind of looked at each other real quick. And I just put my hand down, because me and my husband sitting beside each other, and I just put my hand on his knee, and I just closed them on oh my gosh. I'm looking at the time, y'all. I got a little bit of time to play with. I'm going to be cutting it close, but I'm going to finish this. But you know how sometimes people they'll make jokes. I don't even remember the joke, but it was something that I don't think he would have said had his wife been sitting right beside him. It was something, and not even really derogatory or anything like that, but it was something just real subtle, real sly, but we caught on to that. I was like, those are the things that destroy marriages. It's almost like putting fear. I don't even know how to describe that, but me and my husband talked about that for a couple of days. And because they've kind of assigned him to our territory, we watch out for him. People who dishonor their spouse, and we got to watch out for you. And we was who else can you send down here? Because we don't want no crap with him. His whole character about himself tells us a lot, and we don't want him on our projects. And it's because that is a real thing. That's just a character flaw. He could be really good at what he does, right? But character-wise, there's a major issue there. And even and what we've observed has proven to be true, right? Just in some of the conversation of being on the job site or whatever. Because one of my sisters worked for us. She's a crew leader and everything, right? And he's a cool guy. He really is, right? Really cool, but it's just you're not somebody I'd go to war with. I would not if I had to pick a team, I would not pick you, right? It's like you fall in the category, you would probably backstab me. Like, I'm not picking you, but we don't really kind of have a choice at the moment on where they assign him. So we have to watch out for him. So we've seen some of those mannerisms and coming out. Even some of his comments of doing jobs or having to double check some things and talking about other women and looking up under their skirts and stuff, and made a comment to my husband about my sister, and he found out real quick that my husband don't play. And you better not say nothing about baby sis, right? He found that out real quick because he didn't know that was my sister out there, right? So, but yeah, he it's just, you just got to be careful. So there are a lot of things that can really bring a lot of harm, and people that do certain things like that. And yeah, like Ima said, it's no loyalty, right? There's no loyalty to your spouse. If you don't have loyalty to your spouse, you definitely not earn throughout our tenure of marriage that we take. We assimilate in ourselves. How can we use this? How can we make sure this doesn't come in, right? Because we have had some things come in that we had to recover from, and it took time, and some things we're still recovering from. And it's hard, right? It's really, really hard. But you have to, at all times, no matter how hard it get, if you guys just like, no matter what, we're going to make this work. If you have that type of attitude, that I just call it the no quit attitude in your marriage, and learn how to work as a team, and learn how to look past what the lips are saying until they're able to really speak the truth from their heart, and their heart, or I keep saying heart, but pointing to my spirit, but the until all three of them sync, I'll say the spirit, the heart, and the lips, until your spouse can get that aligned where they're speaking 100% truth to you. They can be 100% vulnerable with you. Well, they can say something as simple like, I know you've been doing that for years, but I don't like that. Something simple as that. Spouse is doing something, but you just let it go on because they think it's good for you. And you have to be, that becomes really touchy, especially when you have to apply that in the bedroom, in the marriage bed, right? They do something, they think they hitting a spot or whatever. You just kind of going along with it like, oh yeah, you the man, or or whatever, right? Women tend to do that more than men do, you know. But you have to learn how, and also I'll say with tact, you have to learn how to, you really have to study your spouse and really have to learn how to respond to them. Some people just like, listen, you know what I mean? Just take it. You really can't. I found out you really cannot do that. You really can't. One spouse a lot of times grows a lot faster in that area than the other one does, until they just kind of begin to grow and get on that same page together. Some people don't last that period of time. They can't wait out that time for the other spouse to come on board, right? They feel like they're losing time. They're wasting time. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to accelerate their spouse's growth in their area to where they both can become on the same page at one time, you know. But it's a lot of hard work. And that's what the Masters of Generations, according to Owaspi, they deal with all of that, right, with the married couples. And a lot of time, if you're spiritually dense, you can't hear the insight coming from the spiritual inspiration anyway, right? So it's a lot of things we have to think about, a lot of things we should be taught as we're growing, right? But a lot of times we're not, because our teachers may not have been privy to that information, or they just don't know. So some things you literally have to be taught directly by the Spirit of the Father to help you get through some of these things. And a lot of time he'll point you in directions. Observe this. Look at this. Take a look at this. You see what happened there? And that's what we find ourselves doing a lot. We observe marriages, you know. And sometimes we may not be able to actually talk to the people who have separated, but everybody get kind of nosy. Start going through social media. Oh my God, what? Were there any signs? Look, okay, so babe, back here, this, like, oh man, oh my, you know, it's not, some people call it being nosy, but when it comes to married couples, it's really near and dear to our heart. It's really heartbreaking, because some things, we find that some couples, they actually separate over foolishness. what would be foolishness to us, but it could have really been a big thing to them. It really could have. And they just didn't know how to work through it. So marriage, if you undertake it, it is a lifelong process. It really is. And there's constant growing. And September this year, we'll be at 22 years, right? But I don't say, I would say it gets easier if you learn how to pull the lessons from the previous years and apply the principles, because you're going to keep running into different situations at different phases and stages of your marriage. Just like in life, the problems don't stop. They just come in different simulations and different situations. But sometimes it may be a different thing that you may need to learn how to control. Like some of the basic things people don't even get past, like the whole sex thing, the communication, and the finance. That take most people out. And I see why, right? Because you have to develop character, not just character, like the whole connecting the heart with the lips, that type of communication, not just talking and yapping all the time, saying a bunch, moving your lips, talking all the time, but saying nothing of real substance. Not that type of communication. Yeah, we have a conversation, we talk about this every week. No. I'm talking about real communication, like being vulnerable with one another, communicating really from heart to heart. Are you able to do you trust your spouse enough to share with them some of the things that lie in the deep recesses of your heart that you haven't let anybody in on, right? Yo, that's real communication. Being able to sync the heart with the lips and communicate effectively, right? And you need to have a spouse, even if they don't understand how to respond, they need to learn the art of listening, and not listening just to wait for their turn to talk and spew on you what they feel and how they feel about this. Like, it's a whole art to communication in marriage, right? And I would say the principles hold true in every area of life, even when parenting. It's the same. You got to learn it growing up with your parents communicating with the children, being effective. It's still the same thing in marriage. It's just on a different level, right? It's just at a different level, in a different type of relationship, right? And it all develops you wholly, spirit, soul, and body, if you allow it to. Most people, they just don't stick around in class long enough, right? So, the ears, right? The listening part, all of it, you have to sync all of that up. But a lot of times it happens in phases. It happens in stages. It don't all sync up at one time, right? So it's kind of like look, I'm gonna use some business terms. I'm learning while I'm taking the certification. It's marriage needs to be agile, right? Agile is being flexible. If you're producing, like our product is, we want to produce a good marriage, but it's what we have to do. We have to, the agile method way is getting feedback sooner in smaller increments so you can adjust as you go, right? Instead of working on a project all the way through, boom, see how you did. Oh my gosh, you failed horribly. Well, could you have given me some feedback earlier to let me know all the way down the line? That's what being agile is, an agile form of management, an agile form of leadership, giving feedback to your people, your crew, your spouse in smaller increments along the way, right? Sometimes we bottle things up and we hold stuff in and then we explode. Terrible. We need to be agile. We need to be flexible. You piss me off at the moment. You done piss me off. Like, don't let the day go and you don't address this. It's like, address it as you go. Don't let it build up, because now we got to deal with a whole nother type of problem, right? And now some things have cemented in place that now, oh my gosh, now we got to do some deep, like we need like a jackhammer or something, because this has like solidified, and if we had a caught this back here, we could have fixed it. Just it happens all over in life, right? You're eating terribly for all these years, and now your arteries are clogged. Now you find yourself, you didn't had a heart attack. They'd have had to crack your ribs open, your chest open, to find out that your arteries are 99.9% blocked, and now we need to put a stent, or we need to do a bypass surgery just so you can keep on living. Well, shucks. I wish somebody would have told me. Well, they did. You have no discipline. If you practice discipline, if you live the agile lifestyle, we wouldn't be at this point. Okay. I've talked enough. All right. DC, go to work. Let me get out of here, y'all. I have to go. I have a meeting, but I'm pretty prepared for it. So that's why I was like, I'm going to talk a little bit more. But anyway, I really do have to go, y'all. I started to say this. Anyway, it's Tuesday, February the 14th. You know what? I know I said I'm going to end it, but that's my little Valentine's Day gift to the married couples today. The whole little last portion. Happy Valentine's Day, beautiful people. It is February the 14th, 2023, day 333 of year 4 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,352. We read pages 41 to 43 in Romance of the Red Star, which is another name for a WASP. And then in a Field Guide to the Spirit World, we finished the last chapter and we read Appendix A, starting on page 259 all the way to page 261. And Father, we thank you that not only are you the epitome of love, but in your love, you are also kind. So very kind to us all. All right, y'all, with that being said, peace and blessings. May the Creator bless you all and give you the strength to hang on a little bit longer in your marriages and work it out and learn how to hear your spouse. Learn how to hear their heart speaking, even if their lips are not yet lining up with it. Develop the ears to hear the heart of your spouse. I love y'all. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Peace.